Hi everyone. In this video we are going to see how to deploy a .NET application to AWS Elastic Beanstalk using Visual Studio and AWS Toolkit. So let's get started. So I have Visual Studio opened on my machine. So right now I'm using Visual Studio 2019 Enterprise version. So before we deploy the application, we have to make sure the AWS Toolkit is installed. So if it is not installed on your machine, you can just go to Extensions, Manage Extensions, just search for AWS. So mostly the first result you will get will be AWS Toolkit for Visual Studio 2017 and 2019. So right now it is installed on my machine, as you can see by the check mark. But if it is not installed, you just have an option to download and install the same. So once it is done, you probably need to close the Visual Studio and reopen it. Okay, so once it is installed, I just create a sample application now. New project, and I'm just selecting ASP.NET Web Application with .NET Framework. And let me show you my sample application. I just give it a name. Framework I'm using a .NET 4.7.2. Just click create, and I select MVC from the template. Let's quickly create the default application. Okay, so the default application is now ready. So let me just quickly run it and see how it looks like in my local machine. Just click yes. So basically I'm just going to get the default page that we see. So that's the default website running, and the same we are going to deploy to AWS Beanstalk. So I'm back in Visual Studio. So now as I have the AWS Toolkit installed, so I just right click to my project, and you can see now I have an option of publishing it to AWS Elastic Beanstalk directly. So let me just click on it. So this is the first screen you will get, and it is going to ask you the account profile you want to use. So right now, if you see, I don't have any profile configured. But if you have any profile configured by default, like if you may have configured something, then you can use the same. Or if I don't have, then probably I can just click on this add an account option. So I'll be asked to supply the profile name, the location, the access key and secret key ID. So right now, so what I'm going to do is I just head over to my AWS console. You just cancel it, and I'll just create a new user for the same, as I don't want to use the root user for the same task. So let me just go to IAM. I go to users. Then I'll add a new user. So username I can give something like demo user, and I can just say access type I required is programmatic access, because I need the access key ID and the secret access key to deploy to Elastic Beanstalk from Visual Studio. So for permissions, so what I can do is I just attach the administrator access policy, but if I want, I could have just given permission to EBS or some limited permission, but for this demo I just give administrator access. I don't put any tags in it. Okay. So if you see, my demo user is created, so I have a access key ID, secret access key, and I can download the CSV file also, so I have it stored with me. So let me just copy the access key ID from here, and I'll add a new profile, demo. I give it the name my demo profile, and storage location I'll keep it as shared credential file. So basically what it will do is like it is going to store the credentials that I put here in the home directory AWS credentials file. Let me just paste the access key, and secret access key I just copy from here, and I just paste it, and I just select account type as a standard AWS account. Okay, so now like the options I have here is like for deployment target, I can just, as I don't have any existing application environment running, so I just select create a new application environment, as all my deployments need to be part of an application. So I click on next. So the application name I just select as, keep the same, and environment, like by default it will populate the same as my ABS sample application. So I just select the environment as my ABS sample application dev environment, and if you see, like it will give me an option of a URL also, using which I can access the application, and I can just like check the availability, and it is available, then I can proceed next. So now it is going to ask me about the Ec2 launch configuration, which it is going to provision to launch my application. So I have different options here. So like you have Windows Server Core running iOS 10 version 2.6, 2019 and 2016, 2012. So let me just go with 64-bit Windows Server 2019. The instance type for this one, like I have different options, but I just go with t2.micro. And I can specify a key pair also, like if I want to log into my EC2 instance that is provisioned by ABS, but just keep it as no key pair for the time being. And for this one, like I just select a single instant environment, as I don't need a like if I deselect it, I can just have an application running behind a load balancer if I want, but I just keep it as single instance. And if you see, like I have different options here, like if I need a database also, I can specify the RDS or RDS security groups. And here you have an option of like specifying the role, so I just leave it as default one. And now here you're asked to specify the build configuration, whether it should be debug or release. Let me just change it to release, and what will be the app pool runtime that is going to be provisioned in IIS. So I just select 4.0. The app path can be default website. So these are basically the IIS settings that you normally configure in IIS when you deploy the application. And here you can specify if you want the AWS X-ray or enhanced health reporting. I just keep it unselected because it costs some money also. And here you can just specify a version label if you want for this deployment. Like just click on next. So here you get a screen where you can review all the options that you selected. And once like you are happy with what you have configured, you just click on deploy. You see now, like in the output window, you're getting all the different options. So it has started uploading your application and packaging, uploadings, and it is right now creating your application. It's creating the environment, those things, and we'll start. So in the top window also you can see the create environment is starting. So this might take some time for it to provision all the environment. Like it will have to provision the EC2 instance, create the roles, security groups and all. So I just pause the video till that time. So my environment is now created. As you can see, like it has all the events. It took around 6 minutes to complete. And if you see, it added a EC2 instance, it created an elastic IP. But in the end, you'll get a message saying successfully launched environment. And in the status also, you can see the environment is healthy. And this is a URL using which I can access the application. So let's try that now. So if you see, now I have accessed the URL and you can see my sample application is running in the Elastic Beanstalk. So as you can see, like it's quite straightforward to deploy .NET application using Elastic Beanstalk from Visual Studio using the toolkit. And like you have different options which the toolkit provides, like I can connect to the instance, I can restart the app directly from Visual Studio, so you can rebuild or even terminate the environment. And you have different options. You can see the events, and you have the monitoring tab which will show you the different metrics, latency, request count. You can see it's loading right now, but you can see the resources, the EC2 instance, load balancers if any, and that is part of your application. And, enable notifications also. See the instance type, and if you want you can change the same from here and click on apply changes. So the toolkit does makes your life a bit easier. Like it's something similar to what you do from the console, but if you're using Visual Studio, you can use the toolkit and quickly deploy the same. So now let's see, like suppose I want to make some changes to the application. What we are going to do is, like, let me just go to the index view and I'll just make some changes, and let me just add an H2 tag saying this is the updated version. So changes are now ready, so let's redeploy the same. So just go again, right click, go to publish to Elastic Beanstalk, and if I want I can deploy it to a new application environment, but I'll just redeploy to an existing environment. Let's click on next. I leave all this as default, and in the deployment version label what I can do is, like, let me just put it updated version. So next, and just click on deploy again. So it will again start uploading and rebuilding my application. But this time, it's not going to take that much time because the application and environment were already created. So what I'm just doing is I'm just deploying a new version for that application. So if you can see in your event section, it's started the update. So it is now updating the environment. So let's give it a few seconds. So the update is now complete, and if you see, the environment is now healthy, and you can also see the running version is now the updated version which we recently deployed. Let's just click on this URL again, and you can see below the ASP.NET I'm getting this is the updated version option which we put. So this is how, like, we can deploy different you can update the application and deploy different updated versions, and all of this you can easily do from Visual Studio using the toolkit. So that is quite helpful. So now, like, we are done with the application. So what I can do is I just click on terminate. So once you terminate, the application URLs won't be accessible. So I just click on yes, and if you see, the terminate environment is now starting. So it will take a few minutes, but ultimately the environment is going to be terminated. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and if you like the videos, then don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.